going on, everybody? Mike McFarland here, the Lake Fork Fishing Guide. Going to give you a rundown. It's July 6th, one day before my birthday. I was born on July 7th, 1971. I got some time off here. I got the next few days off. First thing is I want to apologize to you for not bringing you the rundown last week. I only gave you one, and usually I do 2 a week. But I also want you to understand that big power outage that we had 2 weeks ago, that huge storm that came through that destroyed Winsboro and on and on and on, wrecked my AC. Somehow my fan motor went out and the main drain board burned up, and it's under warranty, but parts are still on order. So my studio is on fire in the afternoon. I built my studio inside my 1,200 square foot garage. It's a 380 square foot man cave inside the man cave. And normally that AC keeps the studio completely perfectly acclimated. And it actually bleeds out into the garage and lets the garage kind of keep pretty decent as well. It's sealed, it bleeds through the doors, and sometimes I'll leave the door open. And it really helps so much. But when it's not, oh my God, in the afternoon when I'm done fishing, it is a sauna in here. Right now it's early in the morning. It's about as cool as I can get it in here. I opened it up through the night, let fans blow, and it's 81 degrees. It's not so bad, just enough for me to make sure that I get you a rundown this week. So it's Thursday, July 6th. Lake's back to falling, even though we're having little storms, little small flurries, or whatever you want to call it each day, which is so weird. Every day, still, every other day, we have some kind of little rainfall here in Northeast Texas. I don't know of anybody that's ever lived in these parts. Even people that have lived here 100 years have never seen this kind of weather. No big deal. It is what it is. I'd rather that, keeps the ground wet, keeps things green. But the humidity is super high and it's super hot. But Lake's falling. 402.42 is about where we're at as of today. We're still, hey, we gained a lot this year, and we're still holding basically about 6 or 7 inches below full pool. 0 to 1 clarity. It's starting to have some summer color to it, which is that brown, not brown, but kind of a tannic look. Starts to get, not whiskey water, but it starts to get a little bit of that heat as we get up in the upper 80s. 86 to 88 degrees is the main temperature. Fishing is still very sporadic. It's good one day and not the next. I am catching fish every day. Usually it's a big one or a few, but no home runs. Just not crushing it. Normally this time of year I'm catching 15 to 25 fish a day when I find them grouped up offshore and schooled up. And we catch a lot of cookie cutters, which is 2 to 4 pounders, but we mix in 5 big ones and we have a sack. 25 to 35 pound sack almost every day this time of year, usually. The fish are so scattered, and as I give you this report, you'll see. They're in 2 feet of water, they're in 8 feet of water, they're in 15 feet of water, they're in 25 feet of water. They're scattered. It's just, I don't know why. I think the new lake, meaning it was low for 18 months and then it raised 6 feet in a very short matter of time. When all of that was out of water grew, a lot of that cover is still keeping fish inside the shallow water. It's not keeping big ones very much, but there are. There is 4 and 5 pounders that are still up on docks. There's 4 and 5 pounders that are still on bushes, and there's tons and tons and tons of little fish, 2 pounders, that are most definitely in shallow water, and I mean 2 feet. So I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but the big fish are scattered. The big fish are suspending. We just haven't got the right heat element, I guess. I'm not sure. Some of the better big fish are being caught on spoons, big spoons. Just chuck that, offshore structure, points, humps, ledges, big deep flats, shell beds, stuff like that. Your typical summer holes. But the big spoons, Lake Fork Trophy Lures, probably offers one of the very best that, in my opinion, Lake Fork Trophy Lure spoons. This is a 5-inch. They do make a 6-inch, and you can get some bigger spoons than that. I don't think you need them. But this Lake Fork Trophy spoon right here, and just magic shad, is money in the bank. So many different ways to fish it. You can hop it off the bottom. You can just throw it out, let it go to the bottom, reel a little bit and stop, reel a little bit, stop, reel a little bit and stop. The key is you do want it to come up and flutter, up and flutter. You can use your side scan. You can find the fish and make sure that you're throwing it, letting it fall through them and back up and down. That's working really good when it works. The bottom bite, as far as like finding fish on the bottom, it's in the afternoon. If you want to catch more fish on Fork, go after 4 o'clock and fish till dark. But the big worm bite, the shaky head bite, the jig bite, things like that, you got to be there after 4 o'clock. From 4 to dark, it's just a whole different lake. You can go fish all morning long and only have a couple bites throwing a jig or a big worm or a shaky head. And then you can go in the afternoon and do the exact same thing, and you won't believe the difference. You just won't believe the difference. So 18 to 22 feet seems to be my best bite after 4 or 5 o'clock. And you can really find them. You can sack them up. Before I go into some other things and giving some reports about other species and other lakes and stuff, there is one bite right now. If you're a tournament angler, if you just want to catch fish, if you just want to have fun, in the color June bug, if you'll go find a bank that's wind blown or a little breeze on it, and you just go flip the brown bushes in about less than 4 feet, 2 feet seems to be the ticket. But with the Lake Fork hyper worm, this is a 5-inch. You can go even smaller. I'd go just a little bit smaller. But the Lake Fork hyper worm, Texas rig in June bug or June bug red. This one here is blue fleck red. But this right here is the Lake Fork Trophy Lures hyper worm, the little one. You will catch a lot of fish. You pick the right spot. You go down south somewhere, in some of that deeper water areas, Little Caney, Big Caney Point, Alligator Point, the golf course area, and you go when that wind is blowing the right direction. You pick the right bank and go flip them bushes with a little Texas rig hyper worm from Lake Fork Trophy Lures, and you'll catch fish. And they're biting. And they're taking that and swimming off with it, which means there's more in there. Usually, remember that when you get a bite on something, that fish grabs it and runs, it means there's more in there. But anyways, if you go to Lake Fork Trophy Lures, be sure and use my name. My first 3 letters of my last name, or just tell them McFarland sent you. And they should give you a 10% discount on in-house products only. Anything that's poured and made in-house, you can get give them the code MCF10, and they'll take good care of you there. Tell them I sent you, please. All right, let's go ahead and give you guys a little more information about some of the fishing on Fork and some surrounding areas. Okay, there's a few lakes around this area that are fishing really good right now, really good, and I want to tell you about them. So, first thing we're going to do is bass fishing. Bass fishing on Ray Hubbard with Joe Shipley. The bass are actually pretty good offshore there. Ray Hubbard, 18 to 20 feet. Look for brush piles and rock points, and fish the bridges. Your Texas rigs, shaky heads, deep cranks, and football jigs are your best. The best worm colors, green pumpkin family, and the best crankbait colors are anything shad or sexy shad. Lake Possum Kingdom with Pete Hernandez. Fishing's really good there. Lake is full pool, clear in the south, a little more semi-stained up north. The topwater bite, fishing green dock lights before daybreak, is producing huge sacks, big sacks. Those big fish love the green lights at night. They're feeding at night. But the topwater bite, that if you can get there, launch your boat and get an hour before daylight and fish those topwaters around those green lights, you'll really be rewarded. Once the sun's up, ledges and rock piles, 15 to 25 feet of water has been the best. 10 to 12-inch worms. Bass Assassin worms are really good there. 3/4 ounce and 1 ounce jigs are on the same type of structure. You may not know it, but Bass Assassin makes an entire catalog of plastics. I mean, they don't just make shad like we're kind of accustomed to. They've got the worms. They've got ribbon tail worms. They've got straight tail tap out worms, which is like a trick worms. They've got Cinco style baits. They've got crawfish trailers, crawfish flipping baits. They've got beaver style baits. They have it all. Go to bassassassin.com. You will be impressed. All these years, I really just thought Bass Assassin was more of a fish-oriented type lure. or soft plastic. No, they've got an entire catalog, even stuff for the ocean. Check out bassassassin.com. Tawakoni. Matt Cartwright says the bass topwater bite's great there. The popping frogs are still catching a lot of fish, but the Berkeley Chapo, the Berkeley El Chapo, or basically a whopper plover, those are working really good early mornings and late. Once that sun's up, hit the docks and the rocks, crankbaits and soft plastics. And then again, I like the whooper craw. If you use the whooper craw, Bass Assassin's whooper craw, and flip the docks with that, it's really cool bait because a lot of times you can fish it, like it's just a Texas soft plastic, Texas Streak soft plastic, but you can reel it home and it has a lot of action. You get a lot of strikes reeling it back to the boat. Athens, Jay Bonner says bass fishing is pretty decent there. Humps and outside grass lines, 12 to 14 foot. Wobbleheads with big worms and Carolina rigs with brush hogs. And he's starting to see the fish school up pretty good there. There's an early morning topwater bite if you're in the right spot. Poppers there are working the best. Berkeley Bullet Pop's working really good there. Lake Levon, Kerry Thorne, he says chrome and red rattle traps along the dam. The riprap, if you'll fish chrome and red rattle traps early along the riprap, that's working early. Then switch to 3 to 6 foot divers and then 12 to 12 foot divers as the day progresses. Colors again on the divers are sexy shad, anything shad. There's actually, even if you want to catch some bigger fish, there is a swim bait bite fishing deeper rocks, rock piles, underwater drop-offs in 12 to 20 feet. You're going to need to live scope for that. That's targeting those suspending fish that are out in those cooler summer areas. Same kind of thing on fork. You got to target, you got to find the fish first. So you got to sonar for them. You got to really look for them. If you've got live scope, you will run across some fish. You may catch them, you may not. It's real frustrating with the live scope. Let's tell you about crappie. Crappie on Hubbard. Crappie are still biting good on the deeper bridges and pillars. Bridge pylons and pillars. Minnows are the best your bait bear. Crappie at Athens. They're pretty good right now in the deep brush piles, 15 to 25 feet. Same thing, hair-tied jigs or hand-tied jigs, with minnows. Lake Levon. Crappie on Lake Levon. Kerry Thorne says it's excellent. 12 to 14 foot. Some of the fish sitting on the bottom at 20. 1/16 ounce jigs in white chartreuse or blackened chartreuse. And of course, live minnows will always catch those fish. The bottom south half of the lake is producing most of the fish, and timber seems to be where the bigger fish are, where brush piles are holding multiple fish. Jackie Wiggins, right here at home on Lake Fork, he just, every day he works his butt off. He really works hard and does doubles and triples, but he comes up with limits every day for every trip just about, and 99% of the time. So he's one of the very best I've ever seen. He says their trees and brush in 18 to 28 feet are holding really good numbers. They're still seeing crappie on laydowns and bridges, but not in big numbers. The past week, he noticed the minnow bite being much better than the hand-tied jig bite. So the live minnows are the deal. And they continue seeing crappie moving slowly deeper and deeper as the surface temperatures get warmer. A lot of the white crappie, they're suspended on higher trees and brush, and the black crappie are at the base. So be sure and fish some of those areas and fill up your limit of crappie. They're a good eating. Stripers and white bass and hybrids, Lake Levon. White bass are on main lake points, 10 to 20 feet. Bounce a white or chartreuse slab off the bottom. Kerry says that if you'll tie a little marabou jig about 18 inches above that slab spoon, and you really get them fired up, you really get into it, you can catch 2 at a time. There's also seen some surface activities. Have a top water ready. 3 to 4 inch poppers working good. That's again where the Berkeley Bullet Pop is my favorite for that type of thing. Bone white's really good. Tawakoni with Matt Cartwright. Stripers, hybrids, and bass there. Main lake, 85 degrees. Stripers and hybrids are excellent on live bait, so you'll have to go net yourself some live shad or gizzard shad. But he's also seeing some schooling fish early and late around the dams and the humps where topwater baits, paddle-tail swim baits, casting slabs, and things like that are working good. Remember, in this casting slab, chartreuse and white or silver are your best colors. Catfishing on Tawakoni, the main lake points, ledges 15 to 25 feet, cut shad's your best bait. Levon, Fork, those lakes are full of channel catfish. If you'll find a riprap area or a channel swing area, and you'll bait it up with sour maize or milo or cattle cubes, chum it up the day before, you won't believe how many fish will be swarming like bees on that area the next day. Then you can use cheap stuff. You can use chicken liver. I I don't like to use night crawlers because they're not cheap, but you can just use a piece of a night crawler. You don't need the whole thing. Cut shad, Bubba's stink bait, any one of the stink baits, but generally you can go a little cheaper with it, what you're using. And they're swarming there so much that you catch them. And if you really want the big blues on Levon, the blues are in full spawn. You might even see a couple on the surface fighting it out. So the blues right now is a little bit slow because they're spawning. But those big blues, those are generally really fun to catch too because they get huge. And they're usually caught on cut gizzard shad. So, all right, guys, that's my report for you. Remember that you can come over to the members only channel. Subscribe, upgrade your channel here, come over to the members only channel where we give you a lot more detailed information. It's specific to Lake Fork. I don't tell anymore. You guys are getting a lot more value out of this being broad spectrum wise, all these other lakes and all this other stuff. I don't tell the members all that, but I do get into a lot more detail about Lake Fork. This last week, I'm catching big fish on Fork, and there's a pattern to it. It's not a lot of bites, but they're big fish. I had 4 fish the other day over 6 pounds with our smallest, the 614. There is a strategy and there is a pattern to it. So if you really do want to have more knowledge about Fork, more daily knowledge, both good and bad, because I tell the truth. I tell the members exactly what we're doing, what not to do, what's not working, and what's working. And I throw them some perks and a few other things and stuff like that. But if you want to be a member, look in the description below this video and click on the link and just follow the steps. It's really easy to become a member. You can also upgrade to a Let's Talk Fishing member, where I give a lesson every week. A very, very, very in-depth lesson. Usually they're about 40 minutes to an hour long. I've covered almost 30 topics over the last 6 months. Some very, very critical, important topics, techniques, etc. In fact, this week, when I do the Let's Talk and get it up, it's going to be about drop shotting. I came from the West Coast fishing. Drop shot was like the deal. I started drop shotting in 2005. I really catched a lot of checks in tournaments. In fact, I got a lot of plaques and a lot of trophies on my walls where the drop shotting was the deal. On the West Coast, we had a lot of small fish. We had crystal clear water. And we just didn't power fish. We didn't do as much of the type fishing you do here in the central, south, Midwest, etc. It was a lot of light line, little sissy sticks, and if you didn't drop shot, you just didn't catch checks. You didn't, not very often. So yes, we did have frog bites, topwater bites, power fish bites, but you had to master the drop shot. The reason I'm telling you this is this next lesson about drop shotting is going to be really cool. It's going to be in super, super depth. It's going to cover everything from sissy shotting for 1 and 2 pounders, but it's also going to show what I call Bubba shotting, what I've learned to do over here, which is bigger, heavy. I can drop shot a 12-inch wire, and there's some super, super sneaky techniques and tricks about levels. It should be 24 inches, should it be 18 inches, should it be 6 inches? But anyways, I'm trying to draw you over. Same thing, look in the description below and click on the link for Let's Talk Fishing. Give that a try. Remember, any of those, if you subscribe to them, you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. All right? So other than that, thank you so much for your patience and your subscription. Thank you for watching. If you're still watching this today, I'm super grateful for those that watch it from beginning to end. Don't just come in and get what they want and click out. So thank you. Thank you very much. Hit the like button. Comment below. Tell your friends about the channel. Have a great weekend fishing. Happy belated 4th of July. And if you're out there tomorrow, think of me. It's my birthday, because I'm not going to be out there tomorrow. I'm not doing anything tomorrow. I'm just going to eat, be merry, and enjoy my day. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Mike McFarland giving you a public rundown for not just Lake Fork, but the upper fresh region of Texas.